5 minutes.
Thank you, Director Comey. The framers of our Constitution recognized a right to privacy that Americans would enjoy. Fourth Amendment pretty much implies that right to privacy, does it not?
I'm not a constitutional scholar. I think a scholar, if he were sitting here, might say it's not the Fourth Amendment that's the source of the right to privacy. It's other amendments of the Constitution. But that's a technical answer. The Fourth Amendment is critically important because it's a restriction on government power. You may not look at the people's stuff, their houses, their effects, without a warrant and without independent judiciary.
But it also grants impliedly to the government, the Fourth Amendment, the authority to search and seize when the search or seizure is reasonable. Is that correct?
Again, to be technical, I think the answer is Congress has given the government that authority through statute. The Fourth Amendment is a restriction on that authority.
The Fourth Amendment says that the right of the people to be secure in their persons, housings, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation. And what I'm reading into the Fourth Amendment is that the people do have a right to privacy, have right to be secure in their persons, housings, papers, and effects, but I'm also reading into it an implied responsibility of the government to, on occasion, search and seize. Would that be your reading of it also?
Yes.
And, of course, upon probable cause. But there are some circumstances where in the hot pursuit or at the time of an arrest, there's some exceptions that have been carved out to where a warrant is not always required to search and seize. Is that correct?
Yes. You mentioned one, the so-called exigent circumstances doctrine, where if you're in the middle of an emergency and you're looking for a gun that a bad guy might have hid, in a car or something, you don't necessarily have to go get the warrant. If you have the factual basis, you can do the search and then have the judge look at it and validate it.
Now, even in a situation where exigent circumstances exist, technology has now brought us to the point where law enforcement or the government is preempted from being able to search and seize. Is that correct? Technology has produced this result.
Yeah, I think technology has allowed us to create zones of complete privacy, which sounds like an awesome thing until you really think about it. But those zones prohibit any government action under the Fourth Amendment or under our search authority.
Well, it's actually a zone of impunity, would it not be? A zone where bad things can happen and the security of Americans can be placed at risk.
Potentially, yes, sir.
And that is the situation that we have with end-to-end encryption. Is that not correct?
I think that's a fair description, where we have communications where even with a judge's order can't be intercepted.
Now, you said that you were not a constitutional scholar, and neither am I, but does it seem reasonable that the framers of the Constitution meant to exempt any domain from its authority to be able to search and seize if it's based on probable cause or some exigent circumstance allows for a search and seizure with less than a warrant and a showing of probable cause?
Yeah, I doubt that they imagined the devices we have today and the ways of communicating, but I also doubt that they imagined there would be any place in American life where law enforcement with lawful authority could not go. And the reason I say that is the First Amendment talks about the people's homes. Is there a more important place to any of us than our homes? So from the founding of this country, it was contemplated that law enforcement could go into your house with appropriate predication and oversight. So to me, the logic of that tells me they wouldn't have imagined any box or storage area or device that could never be entered.
So from that standpoint, to be a strict constructionist about the Constitution and the Fourth Amendment it's ridiculous that anyone would think that we would not be able to take our present circumstances and shape current law to appreciate the niceties of today's practical realities. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but did you understand what I just said?
I understand what you said, sir.
Would you agree or disagree with me?
Time of the gentleman. The director may answer the question.
I think it's the kind of question that democracies were built to wrestle with and that the Congress of the United States is fully capable of wrestling with in a good way.
Well, in
The time
better
of the
times
gentleman,
we have been.